Well, the supply chain crisis continues. Last week, the White House brokered a deal with a number of California ports to stay open 24/7 in order to deal with in order to allow the backlog of ships with goods from Shanghai to be unloaded. Fox News reports that the backlog started from an increase in e-commerce during the start of shutdowns from coronavirus, and supply decreased as factories in China closed when someone did test positive for the coronavirus. Experts say the ports being open longer will increase the cost of goods since most warehouses have employees with unions. And more people across the country are quitting with Biden's vaccine mandate in place. NBC reports 40% of TSA agents have not reported their vaccine status with their deadline a week away. Police in Chicago and Seattle are threatening not to go to work with the mandate in place. In the Windy City, police who don't submit semi-weekly negative tests will be placed on unpaid leave. An ESPN reporter, Allison Williams, quit, saying Disney denied her request for an exemption, and the Delta CEO just announced that they will not be requiring their employees to be vaccinated. And following up on the oil spill along the California coastline, the Coast Guard says a 1,200-foot ship dragged the oil pipeline across the seafloor months ago, which may have caused the oil leak in the ocean. They are still investigating if another ship came by that could have actually caused the leak once it was dragged. The ship is owned by Dordelis Finance Corporation, and according to NPR, the culprit of the leak could face criminal charges or civil penalties. And a judge has denied Jussie Smollett's request for dismissal after being charged with a hate crime hoax 2 years ago. NBC reports the Empire actor is accused of hiring people to perform a fake racist and homophobic crime against him in 2019 and lying about it to law enforcement. Smallett was charged with felony disorderly conduct for allegedly making a false report to Chicago police. And right up your alley with professional sports, Frank, the Chicago Sky won their first ever championship yesterday. They beat the Phoenix Mercury 80-74 in Game 4. The Sky were trailing much of the game with 5 minutes left and 5 points down. They made a comeback.
Well, it's good for women's sports in general.
Mm-hmm.
The WNBA is really a good league now.
Yeah.
I played college basketball outside of being involved in the NBA. And during my days of coming out of college basketball, men's college basketball, there were some women, that were playing, and nowhere near what it is today.
Right.
But they were playing, and the quality was not great back in the day. But today, you watch these games, they are very talented athletes. They're very well-trained athletes. And it's a good sport, and I'm really happy for that. The pay has got to catch up.
Yeah.
There's a whole issue with women's sports pay.
I can get into soccer and into a deep conversation.
Well,
with
really
soccer.
quickly.
Yeah.
What about women's soccer and what's happened?
So with women's soccer, there was the whole fight with the union about trying to get higher pay for women because.
But wasn't there a guy doing the wrong thing? Was there something to do with abusing the players or something?
So that situation, I'd have to read to go back into the details because I remember that happened a few months ago. He stepped down and gave it was the general manager, I believe, gave the general manager position to someone else who also, in the players' eyes, did not deserve it.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of a whole issue going on with that. But as far as pay goes, it's a constant fight.
Yeah. And again, what's happening in women's sports across the spectrum is great.
Yeah.
I've got 2 little granddaughters now. I'm so happy that they're going to be able to pick and choose.
Yep.
In my day, you were a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And Title IX, I believe it was. I think it was Title IX that came along and actually then said, hey, these young girls now need the ability to be able to play sports.
Right.
And so, we've come a long way. We have a long way to go on the pay side, but getting back to the WNBA, these are very talented athletes.
Yep. Well, I always think about my first soccer game that I went to. I can't remember if it was the World Cup or the Olympics in 1998, and I watched Mia Hamm play, Brianna Scurry, Michelle Akers, the OG soccer girls, soccer women, professionals.
And the truth is you played in college, right?
Yeah, I played in college, and then I played semi-pro for a little bit, but it was... It's a different game now. I agree. I mean, I think
faster?
Much faster, and people are pushed to different limits. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Brandy Chastains of the world. They paved the way, and they were incredible athletes. A lot of them still are. Julie Foudy, Christine Lilly, all of them. But I think every year professional sports gets better and better.
Well, I think the story is, again, that women are playing a key role now,
Yeah.
In sports in general, especially in professional sports. So
Yep.
congratulations to the Sky.
Yes, the Chicago Sky.
All right.
Love it.